How was your meals? Good? Yeah. I just want our special persons here, our supervisor, Angie Carpenter.
Hi guys, how are you? Everyone's tummy is full, you feel good, you had healthy food and it was delicious too, right?
Yeah.
And now we're going to learn how to prepare it, right?
Okay.
Do you have that infused oil?
Yes.
In that? Yeah, I had gotten a sample of it. It's really cool. It's on my counter. I use it all the time.
Yeah.
And if that wasn't good enough that you're eating healthy, who's in the room who keeps you healthy exercising?
Nick.
Our hero. Everybody loves Nick.
Yes.
Well, I'm just so delighted that you guys are here and participating, and everyone that's planned the program. It's always nice that people take advantage of it and come and listen and learn. And as I say almost every time I have the opportunity to be with you, it's so good that you're here for each other. It's so important that you're out and about and socializing and not sitting home on the couch watching me.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Which my husband does. Drives me crazy. I'll walk in the room and there's Nick on the TV and he's sitting in the recliner. And I'm like, wait a minute. Whoa. Anyway, I know you guys wouldn't do that. So without further ado, I want to introduce Justin Jason, who does so much community outreach for Good Samaritan Hospital. Whatever our needs are as a town in reaching out to our residents, I know, and I'm going to be fair, we are very, very lucky. We have 2 first-class hospitals in the town of Islip. South Shore University Hospital, which is part of Northwell, and of course Good Samaritan Hospital. And Good Samaritan University Hospital, because it is too a teaching institution, which we sometimes forget. But whenever there's a need, and we certainly had it during the pandemic, when the state and the county closed down the testing center, within 1 day, I reached out to Good Sam, and they had that testing center up and running and did so for months, and then converted it to a vaccine site. So they're always there for us. So we know they're there for us, but we don't want to go see them at the hospital.
No.
When there are programs in the community, that's where we want to see Good Samaritans. So today is all about keeping us healthy so that we don't have to go make those visits to the wonderful Good Samaritan University Hospital. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Justin Jason.
Thank you, Angie. What a great intro. And thank you all for coming today. And I really would like to thank Christina Woods back there, because she is the one who put this all together today. And a quick plug to Rich Dosher and his team from Nutrition and Food Services for providing the great cooking demonstration you're going to see and everything else that's related to this. So a couple of things I'll touch on the hospital, and Angie gave a quick plug for it. So our name is now Good Samaritan University Hospital. And what that is it's really connected with our graduate medical education program. We have a number of residencies, a number of fellowships, and we're really looking to shape the future of healthcare. That's our theme, by bringing in and training those next level physicians and clinicians of the future. So that's the university name. If you've been by the front of the hospital in the past couple of weeks, couple of months, you've seen a lot of activity, you see a lot of steel. That's our new patient care pavilion. So that is going to be a brand new emergency department. Just for size-wise, our current emergency department space with our pediatric emergency department also, which is a little bit of a separate space, is about 19,000 square feet. This is going to be 70,000 square feet. It's going to be 75 bays in there, and it's going to be state-of-the-art. It's beautiful. We look at the renderings almost on a daily basis of it. It's really going to change emergency medicine on the South Shore. Above that is going to be 16 brand new operating rooms with all the latest technology and equipment, including hybrid technology. The latest is, as they're doing surgery, they have cameras there also that are guiding the physician to the exact correct spot. So very important. They use that a lot for neurosurgery and cardiac procedures. So very important for those two specialties. Above that is a mechanical floor. You will not see any of the, we call it the hamster habit trail of HVAC and air conditioning equipment up top. That is all in the middle of the building. It looks nicer, and actually it allows us to work on those items if there's any bad weather. We don't have to go to the roof for it. On top of that, those top 3 floors are going to be all single private patient rooms. The first floor of those rooms will open when the building opens about mid-2025, and then every year or two we'll go back and we're going to finish off those other floors. When all done, and let me remember my stats, I believe that's going to equal a total amount of 108 private patient rooms, in addition to some rooms that we already have that are private patient rooms. So that's going to be a game changer for healthcare on the South Shore, and our office is across the street. We watch them building it every day. It's amazing the work that they do. The other thing that I'll touch on is we were just verified as a level 1 trauma center. So connected to our emergency department, we now are able to handle the highest level of trauma care that's necessary. And that means if there is, somebody in a very bad car accident or anything else of that high nature, they'll be transported to us by EMS, by ambulance, by first responder. So really showing the exceptional skill of what we have in our emergency department with all of our clinicians. I think that was everything I was touching on. Christina shaking her head yes. So at this moment, I'd like to introduce Rich Dosher, the Director of Food and Nutrition Services for Good Samaritan Hospital.
Justin, thank you for that warm introduction. My name is Rich Dosher. I'm the Director of Nutrition and Food Service for Good Samaritan University Hospital. Welcome to our first of a several-month series of our nutrition lectures and cooking demos. With me today, I also have Kyle Wolf. Kyle, come on up. She's one of our inpatient dietitians. So the way that we're going to coordinate this program is, Kyle, I believe everybody has a slide deck on their table. So Kyle has put together a great presentation about nutrition for healthy aging. And then following her presentation, I'm going to kind of tie it into a very cost-effective, user-friendly cooking demo. All right? Okay. So again, if you don't mind, if we could just hold the questions to the end, or at least in between, just so that we can kind of get through some of the content, just for everyone's time's sake. Okay? Mm-hmm. Very good. With that, I'll hand it over to Kyle. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
I too also feel more comfortable without the microphone. So we do have some slides here for you. They were put in the center of your table. Nutrition for healthy aging. Maybe it should be healthy maturing in better terms. So we have 4 key notes that we want to focus on today. We had some information over here on the side for you. We're going to talk about plant-based foods, calcium and vitamin D, protein and hydration, and then we also have some healthy tips for cooking meals for 2, and then obviously we're going to be doing the cooking demonstration. So on the first slide, it's a great quote. Our food should be our medicine, and our medicine should be our food. And if we could all live by that, maybe Good Sam wouldn't be as big as it is going to be today. But so we're here to help you with making some good healthy choices and good decisions. So our first key message, eating more plant-based foods. So plant-based foods are your foods that come from plants, obviously. So your vegetables, your fruit, your beans, your nuts, your seeds. Those are healthy food options for everybody that can have them. I know that there are some certain instances where some people may not be able to enjoy all of those. So they're nutrient dense, they're rich in fiber, they are healthy fats, they have protein and vitamins and minerals. We get a lot from them. If you're eating a wide variety, meaning eating a rainbow of the different fruits and vegetables, reds, purples, greens, yellows. Choose fruits and vegetables from every different color that you can. Enjoy them all. It's very important because you're going to get different vitamins and minerals from different fruits and vegetables. The grains, too, also have very important vitamins and minerals that you can get from them as well. And like I said, protein and fiber, which is very important. Tracking fiber is important. We are supposed to get women 21 grams per day and men 30 grams per day. Sometimes that can be hard, so trying to incorporate more fruits and vegetables in each meal is a good way to do that. Just adding a little bit of salads, adding a fruit to some, maybe your breakfast in the morning. So different ways to add more fruit and more vegetables, more grains. That'll increase your fiber intake, which can help with constipation, which obviously when you're increasing your fiber, you need to increase your fluid. We will touch on that also. Another key note is calcium and vitamin D. Bone health is very important as we age. We tend to lose our bone health as we age. You probably reach peak at about age 30, and then we start to lose. So we want to make sure that you're eating foods that are rich in calcium and vitamin D. They work together. So vitamin D helps to absorb calcium. Vitamin D, we are recommending 600 to 800 international units per day. It's a fat-soluble vitamin, so that means you need fat in your diet to help absorb the vitamin D into your body. We get vitamin D from the sun, which we have lack of today. The issue also today is we push sunscreen. Sunscreen, sunscreen, sunscreen. You don't want to go out without sunscreen, and that unfortunately blocks the vitamin D getting into our bodies as well. We synthesize vitamin D from the sun. So people might think sitting by a window might get the vitamin D. You don't. It's being outside in the sun. So because of that, we don't get a lot of sun. We reduce our risk of sun exposure because we want to reduce our risk of cancer. So we must get more vitamin D from our diet. And that's a hard thing to do also because there aren't a lot of vitamin D rich foods. We can get them from fortified milk, fatty fish, egg yolks, and liver. But there are foods that are fortified. You might see your orange juice fortified with vitamin D. You might see cereals fortified. So you want to try and incorporate these foods into your diet as well. Calcium, it's recommended 1,200 milligrams per day, and those are your dairy-rich foods. You want to consume probably about 8 ounces of cow's milk is 300 milligrams of calcium. We have some information on the sheet telling you how much. You want to look at your nutrition fact label, so when you have your foods, look at the nutrition fact label. You want to look to see how much calcium are in the foods that you're eating to make sure that you're getting these foods. Again, we want to choose foods that are fortified. Cereals are a great way to get some more calcium into our body because they're fortified. Cheese, cottage cheese, yogurt, and then our dark leafy green vegetables, fortified orange juice like I had said, salmon, and then sardines with the bones in it. So I know some people don't. But if you do enjoy that, that's another good way to get some calcium into your system. When choosing dairy products, you do want to try and choose a low-fat dairy whenever possible. And people do tend to think that, well, if I'm choosing low-fat, then I'm going to get less calcium. And that's not the case. Skim milk versus a whole milk, you're going to get the same amount of calcium. It's just the fat content is different. So if you can choose a low-fat skim milk product, then I would try and do that for your heart health. Any sort of supplementation as far as calcium and vitamin D, I would speak to your medical professional about that. Speak to your doctor. They can check your calcium and vitamin D levels, and then if you need any additional supplementation, that would be recommended by them, whether or not you need an additional vitamin. Protein. Protein is very important as we age. Protein, you could get it, anything from the animal is a good source of protein. So you have meat, chicken, pork, fish, eggs, dairy products. Those are really good sources of protein. And then there's also plant-based proteins. So the grains, which we will be representing today, you could find plant-based proteins, nuts, you have peanut butter, things like that. Those are also good sources of protein. You want to try and include a protein in at each meal. And approximately 3 ounces of protein. So if you think about a deck of cards, that's about 3 ounces. So 3 ounces of meat or fish, that's about the size that you want to try and eat at each meal of a animal protein. Peanut butter and things like that, 2 tablespoons of peanut butter is serving size. Okay? It's actually recommended that we increase our protein as we age. It helps with muscle. It helps when your muscle is stronger, your balance is stronger. If your balance is not good and we fall and we have a fracture, and if your bones aren't good, then that's when you'll be coming to see us at Good Sam, and in particular me, because I'm on the orthopedic floor. So we strongly encourage you to eat protein at each meal, make sure that you're getting enough calcium, make sure that you're getting enough vitamin D to keep those bones strong and healthy. When you're cooking proteins, you'd like to try and do lean protein as much as possible. So poultry and fish are going to be your best choices. Those are lean. Plant-based proteins are also very lean. When you're choosing chicken, you want to make sure that you're cutting the skin off, cutting the fat off. Meat, red meat that is, you may make sure that you're choosing lean cuts of beef, or trimming any extra fat. Grilling or broiling or baking versus frying, because you want to try and reduce the extra fat any way that you can. We don't want to clog those arteries anymore. Also keep in mind the way that you're cooking, even if you're grilling or broiling, if you're ladling kinds of sauces, cream sauces and things like that, that is adding some extra fat and possibly salt and things like that. So you want to keep that in mind also. Lastly, our 4th message, staying hydrated. Like I said, when you're increasing your fiber, you want to increase your water intake. And I see that everybody's got water here today. That's very good. I know it can be difficult drinking water. I myself, even as a dietitian, find it hard to drink water. So the best thing to do is keep a water bottle with you. That's what I try and do here. I keep my water bottle.
Just keep sipping it.
Keep sipping it. I find too that using a straw, I take more in than if I were just to sip from a cup. So using a straw might be something that might be an option for you. Flavoring it. Putting lime or lemon or cucumber or fruits in it to infuse it. That's another good way to, if you don't really like water, to get more fluid into your system. Keep in mind, soups, drinks, seltzers, those count as fluids, but caffeinated beverages, those are diuretics. So all of your fluids you want to make sure are caffeine-free if you can. If you are going to drink coffee or tea that is caffeinated or caffeinated beverages, you've got to try and increase your water take even a little bit more. So you want to make sure that you're doing that. Drink at least 64 8-ounce glasses a day. So these water bottles, I believe, are 16 ounces.
16.9.
So that's, if you drink all of that, that's about two 8-ounce glasses. So try and get 4 water bottles in a day. It can be a lot. And I know that sometimes we're on some medications that might make us go to the bathroom more, so you might need to space out when you are drinking the water. Maybe start drinking first thing in the morning, get as much in as you can, so that way later in the day you don't need to drink as much. Reusable water bottle. Like, I use this is my water bottle. There are many out on the market right now that have markings on the water bottle that say, keep going, you're almost there, it's motivational. Those might help. I know my daughter uses that, and that helps her.
That's kind of
So
good.
it's a good thing. Cold, I like it real cold. So this is one that keeps the water bottle, the ice stays in it very long. So if cold's what makes it better for you, purchase a water bottle that keeps the ice in it for longer. Things like that. But you can drink other liquids as well. Those do count. 100% fruit juice. Just keep in mind that other drinks other than water may add extra calories that may add additional weight. So flavoring your water might be the best thing to do. A good way to know whether or not you're drinking enough water is when you go to the bathroom, when you urinate. look into the bowl. If it's really bright yellow, dark orange, you're not drinking enough water. If it's pale, then you're doing a good job. So that's the best way to figure out. And if your skin, if you pinch your skin, if it sticks up and it tenses up, then that means also you're not drinking enough water. That means you're dehydrated. But if it goes down quickly, then that's a better indication that you are more well hydrated. Okay? Cooking meals for two. I know that can be difficult. I have a family of 5 myself that is decreasing as my birds leave the nest, so I do understand that it can be difficult cooking for a smaller amount of people. So the best thing to do is cook once and use it often. So if you cook a big meal, like if you're cooking for a big family gathering, then you can divvy it up, put it into freezer containers and label it and put it into the freezer. Tips like maybe getting a whole chicken, using it that first night as the whole chicken, that you might have a roasted chicken, let's say, using parts of it for soups, using it for quesadillas or tacos one night, different things, chicken salad another day for a lunch. So a chicken or a turkey or something big like that, that's a good way to have something big. They tend to be a little bit cheaper, and then you can use it for many meals throughout the week or even throughout the month if you do freeze it. Okay? Gatherings like this, get together with friends, have a potluck. Everybody brings something, everybody brings some freezer containers along, and well, you made this and here's your container, you can take some of it and then bring it home and put it into the freezer. Things like that. Grocery stores tend to do some more smaller meals. If you'd like to purchase those, they may cost more. You may not know exactly what's in it. They may do some more seasoning, so you do have to be careful. Looking at that nutrition fact label whenever it's available. We're watching ingredients like sodium and fat and things like that that you might need to. And then just make sure that you're looking at the grocery store circulars, buying what's on sale. If you're able to go to the big box Costco's and things like that, and maybe a group share, those are also ways to do it cheaper and then also have plenty to go around. And those are my tips for cooking for 2 on a budget. And if you have any questions, we will welcome any questions, and Rich is going to do a wonderful salad for us today.
Great, thank you, Kyle. So just want to point out 2 things. I believe everybody got, and if you haven't, I think there's still some in the back over there. What we created, Kyle kind of talked about it, making sure that we're watching, especially with certain chronic diseases, our overall salt intake. So what we created, myself and my team at Good Sam, is a salt-free Greek spice rub. And then we also created a garlic herb infused olive oil, okay? Now this, you might have gotten it and it might have been a little cloudy, okay? The one thing I just want to point out is that both of these do have an expiration date. So the actual spice rub itself expires within 6 months. And the olive oil, since we've infused it at the hospital, we actually take an extra step. There's a powder citric acid in which that we put the herbs and the garlic into, because if you don't do that and if you just bottle it yourself, you could actually cause a foodborne illness, and obviously we want to keep everybody safe while preparing any of their food. So you will see on the label it does expire within 1 month, and it should be kept in your fridge for that time. Okay, you might need to take it out a little bit in advance because it might coagulate, but if you just let it sit out at room temperature for a little bit, it'll be fine, and it'll thin out enough for you to be able to cook with later on. All right. So that was a great presentation from Kyle. Obviously, aging is inevitable, right? But what we can control is what we put in our bodies to help support the aging in a more healthful way. What I'm going to demo today is a Mediterranean grain salad bowl. I'm sure most of you have heard of the Mediterranean diet. It's been lauded for years year after year after year after year, Mediterranean diet always kind of sneaks up on U.S. News and World Report's top diet, not only to just help with increasing longevity, but then also with helping to combat a lot of chronic illnesses. It's a diet that's rich in healthier fats, healthier protein sources, limiting some of those calcium-based sources that might kind of, precipitate inflammation, might also precipitate other unhealthy sources of fat. So what we're going to do today is kind of take some of those guiding principles and put it into a dish that's, first off, going to be user-friendly, that's going to focus on, obviously, and I deal with it being the food service director at Good Sam, and I'm sure you all do, the money at supermarkets do not go as far as it once did, right? Meat prices are up 20 to 30 to even somewhat as high as even 40%. I even just read something the other day that there are some supermarkets and some grocery outlets that are not going to be selling eggs anymore because they just can't sell it they just don't have a consumer base that's even purchasing it for what they have to sell it for. So what I wanted to do was kind of take some of the guiding principles that Kyle just spoke of, more plant-based, some Mediterranean principles, and also just kind of being a little bit more budget-friendly. Most of these items that we're going to demo today might even be found within your own pantry, and if it's not, it's definitely a lot more cost-effective than trying to go out to get salmon or chicken or beef nowadays. All right. So the main star of the dish is farro. How many people have heard of farro or cooked with farro before? A couple of people. Okay. So farro is considered an ancient grain. To me, out of all of the grains, this is the most user-friendly. A lot of the other ones are a little finicky, and you really have to have a delicate touch when cooking with them. So this, I think, is a great alternative, especially if you're trying to incorporate some more whole grain, plant-based protein sources in your diet. It's pretty much cooks up just like pasta does. So you can start out with a little bit of olive oil. You can either sweat some onion or some shallots, or you can literally throw this into a pot. It's a 4-to-1 ratio. So if you have a cup of the farro, you should have 4 cups of liquid in order for it to cook to a nice al dente consistency. Now, the liquid, you can either go straight water, or you can use a low-sodium chicken base, or you can take water and you can add any other aromatics that you would like to it as well. This, again, is a great source, getting back to a couple of the points that Kyle spoke about. This has got about 7 grams of fiber and about 8 grams of protein. So when we think about what we're supposed to be consuming throughout the entire day, this has got for most individuals about 1/3 of their fiber content just within a half a cup of cooked farro. Okay, so again, another very, very nutrient dense. It's a great source of B vitamins, and like I said, a more leaner source of protein. So what I have here, again, just for the sake of time, I've already prepared farro. Like I said, what you would want to do is you'd want to have your pot a 1-to-4 ratio of farro to liquid, and again, it cooks up nice and fluffy. It also helps to, again, a part of how we eat is using all of our senses, and texture, at least for me, is definitely one of those important ones. So when we're subbing out meat and we're looking for more of kind of a crunch, kind of that mouthfeel that kind of comes along with consuming animal protein, again, farro is a great substitute for that. So again, this is going to be the overall star. So I'm going to add into my bowl here about a cup of cooked farro. Another star of the base of the salad is going to be arugula. How many people have eaten arugula, heard of arugula? Yeah, great. Happy to hear, because most cooking demos here, I eat iceberg, I eat romaine. Those are boring greens, right? Especially with all the bounty. Long Island has great farms, especially out east, that grow amazing baby arugula out there. So if you ever do venture out east, make sure that you take advantage of some of those farm stands. But the reason why I like arugula is that it's got a great peppery, lemony taste to it. So again, kind of imparting some of those Mediterranean flavors and vibes into the dish. So I'll probably just take about a half a cup of the arugula, and I'm just going to leave this right over here for right now. Another star of our dish is going to be a typical Greek vegetable mix, which is usually cucumbers, tomatoes, and feta cheese. Okay, so I'm going to start with my grape tomatoes. Obviously, just a little bit of food safety, or I guess cutting safety concern. What we always do whenever, before we ever use a cutting board, is you can either get a mat that you could put down underneath your cutting board, or you can always just take a paper towel, wet it, and you can put that down and then place your cutting board up top so that it doesn't slide as you are cutting the knife. Obviously, safety for you. Again, we don't want to see any knife cuts coming into our new state-of-the-art emergency room. But then also making sure that you remain on a nice flat surface. So the tomato that I chose is grape tomatoes. Again, you could use any other variety of grape tomatoes. What's nice is again, taking advantage of the bounty that Long Island has to offer. If you venture out east, you could get heirloom tomatoes. There are dozens of different varieties, colors. Another way that we eat and we feel satisfied is with our eyes as well, besides our palate. So, getting creative and getting colorful with the dishes is also great. So I'm just going to take a handful of these and just cut these in half. Got 3 of them. I'll go with about 4 of them. Again, you can add as much as you like. Another star of the vegetable component is a cucumber. So what I have here, this is not your typical garden cucumber. This is what's called a English cucumber. These are seedless cucumbers. You can, there's always a debate whenever we talk about cucumbers, to peel or not to peel, right? To me, again, I'm more of a texture person, so I like the outside peel. The peel also provides another source of insoluble fiber as well. So again, increasing overall fiber content. But again, doesn't mean that you have to use an English cucumber. For those of you that have gardens, I'm sure that you've experienced a cucumber takeover, because once you plant one, they just tend to multiply into dozens. So I'm just going to take the cucumber, cut it in half, cut it in half again, and then I'll just kind of quarter it, and then I'll just take my knife and then just slowly dice it into small chunks. Again, another prep safety moment, I guess we could say, is that whenever you are using a knife, always make sure that you curl your first digit so that when you are cutting, it's just going straight against the knuckle. That's how chefs are able to. You see them on Top Chef or any of Gordon Ramsay shows, chopping extremely crazy.
And about the peel or not to peel, you'll find that a lot of the vitamins and minerals are actually around that peel. So it's best, if you can tolerate the peels, to leave them on, because you're going to get more vitamins and minerals.
Great point. Great point. All right. So now that I've got my base of the vegetables, we got cucumbers, tomatoes, I'm going to take some of the feta cheese and probably put in about 1/4 cup. And then this is where our Greek spice rub comes into play. Okay, so we're going to season this topping for the salad. So I'll probably take about a teaspoon overall. Close that up. Just going to give this just a little bit of a turn. What's nice is that the herbs, because most of these vegetables have high water content, and the cheese does as well, obviously, as you can see, sticks to it. It doesn't just fall into the bowl itself, right? Again, the purpose of a seasoning is to get some of that flavor profile. So I've got the base of my salad. I got one of the toppings. I was going to show how to. So let me just back up for a sec. One of my favorite parts of any good salad is croutons, right? So a healthier way to, again, incorporate some more plant-based protein source and to also kind of, but take away what could be component of a salad that tends to be high in sodium, high in fat, is to then fry up in a little bit of your garlic oil, herb-infused oil, some chickpeas. Okay, chickpeas, again, great source of protein, great source of fiber. You can salt or not salt afterwards. You can add any sort of, spice seasoning blend to this. But what I chose is just kind of keep it plain. Again, just for, I don't know. The last thing I'd want to see is the East Islip Fire Department knocking on our door and having all of us evacuate into the rain. So, but basically, all I did was just pretty much shallow fry these. I would just take a little bit of the oil over low to medium heat. Let that heat up. Make sure that your chickpeas are fully drained. Okay, and this is a canned version. Again, canning, what they do, it's obviously going to increase sodium. But if you just simply take out the beans from the can, drain it, and then wash them, exactly. Research or studies show that can actually decrease the amount of sodium that's been cooked and prepared in it by like 40 to 50%. So again, another way to kind of get rid of what we don't want, but yet still have the convenience of having a canned product rather than you just making it by yourself. And then I would just make sure that these are very, very dry. Pat them dry before you add them into the hot oil, right? Oil and water do not mix, and you're going to be getting, popcorn splatter, right? But this is, for those of you that have not seen it before, these are what garbanzo beans look like, and then this is sort of what the finished product looks like, all right? And again, another textural component to it. Well, we can't have any salad without a dressing, right? So dressings are, again, if you go to a store, there are, again, dozens of different varieties of dressings on the market. And even the low sodium ones are low sodium, it's only as good as the amount that you put on it, right? And most of us, we tend to underestimate, what we're actually putting on, right? And it's very easy that as you start to pour that, think, just a little bit more, just a little bit more. So making your own dressing is a great, economical way, and it's also something that you're able to also, make sure that you're controlling as a part of, any of your dishes. Any vinaigrette is a 3-to-1 ratio of oil to vinegar. Okay, so I've spoken about before with the farro 4-to-1, but any base vinaigrette is 3 parts oil to 1 part vinegar. You can decrease the amount of oil as well, depending upon if you like it a little bit more acidic. What's great about a vinaigrette is that it really has 3 components. It's got oil, vinegar, and any other seasonings that you do put into it. Again, you don't have to visit a specialty food store to go and get a good, oil. You don't have to go, but the possibilities are endless as far as the different types of vinegars that are on the market. If you do want to, taste a little bit more of the vinegar, you could, again, people always ask the questions, well, what oil's better for me, right? And I'm sure that you also hear that too. Again, olive oil, any of our safflower oils, those tend to be better or just have higher content as far as the saturated fat profile. But when we start to look at then you using that to make a vinaigrette, you can use more of a, again, extra virgin olive oil is going to have a very, very strong pungent taste to it. So maybe you don't do extra virgin olive oil, maybe you do olive oil, or you could do canola oil as well, and use that as the actual base to make your vinaigrette. The one thing that's nice about this particular vinaigrette is that most other vinaigrettes, you would see me up here getting a forearm exercise, because when you make a vinaigrette, okay, obviously as the old saying goes, oil and vinegar don't mix, so we have to emulsify them to mix. Sometimes when you are making your own vinaigrette, you'll see the base for most vinaigrette recipes might have mustard. Mustard is a emulsifying agent. Some of them actually use egg yolk to also accomplish the exact same thing. But this, because of the yogurt, it kind of ties it in all together. I've got some extra virgin olive oil. I'm just going to slowly whisk this in. Just until it about doubles in volume. I tend to like mine a little bit more vinegary than I do less. Okay, we got that, and then lastly, another classic Mediterranean is fresh dill. So we've chopped that up. I'll probably put in about a quarter of a teaspoon. And then we always do, again, salt's not our enemy. We are, a good concept to kind of keep in mind is not salt to taste, but salt to enhance. That's really what salt does, especially in any of our sauces, stews. It allows the volatile flavors of anything that we are cooking to be a little bit more pronounced. So I'm just going to do a little bit of that, and I also have some pepper as well. Can you smell the dill?
Yeah.
Those of you that are in the front row, right? It's so fragrant.
Smells like lemon.
I'll just put in a little
Right?
bit
Smells like
of
lemon.
pepper. And so for those, I don't want to tilt it too much, but you can see how well nice and creamy,
Yeah.
right? Incorporated into it. So then lastly, what we're going to do is we will then start to plate.
Excuse me, can you
Yes.
just repeat what ingredients you put into that bowl?
Oh, sure. So for the vinaigrette, I have lemon juice, freshly squeezed lemon juice, white wine vinegar, extra virgin olive oil, Greek. That's okay. Greek yogurt, salt, pepper, and fresh dill. Okay. All right. So I have our, again, just to go back to the beginning, I have our cooked farro and fresh arugula. I will dress this with some of that dressing.
Making up everybody?
Toss. Yes, we actually have samples in the back, so everybody will get a chance.
You planned ahead.
Yep. Gonna plate that. Again, that's the base or the star, right, for it. So again, this is just another great creative way in order to kind of spruce up what normally is just, I joke with my mama, mom's boring salad, right? Just a regular garden salad that you can make into a complete meal. To that, we're going to top it with our seasoned cucumber, tomato, feta mix. Again, we used that great salt-free Greek spice blend. All right? And like I said before, no good salad is ever complete without some croutons, but to replace those croutons, we have some crisp chickpeas. Right? So you can see, very, very seasonal. Looks
Pretty.
right?
Looks good. Looks
Extremely
very
pretty
nice.
and quite easy. I hope that everybody, got that concept from this. This was, again, something that we wanted to do, where, I know it wasn't all the bells and whistles that, normally comes with a cooking demo where you see a chef with flames coming up and flambeing and the smells that are wafting. But again, we wanted to just, focus on a more economical dish that was kind of imparting some of those key messages that Kyle, was put together for us. So again, here is our Mediterranean farro and arugula salad bowl with tomatoes, cucumbers, and spiced feta and crunchy chickpeas. All right. Thank you.